Hi and welcome to this week's WoW Flash, and there is a little bit of breaking news. I was sort of waiting for it and waiting for it and waiting for it. It's finally come. But first, on to another drop in Tier 21, Antorus the Burning Throne, which is going to be Amonthul's Vision, which is the legendary Path of the Titans trinket. Blizzard was saying in their Q&A last week that they don't want people to know how it's going to drop just yet. Isn't it nice to have a secret? And although there are some things where it's important to know in advance how we're going to get it, you don't need to know that for everything. Isn't it nice when something can't be data mined? I think they just haven't decided yet. I think that's all there is to that one. Or at least they hadn't at the time of the Q&A. But we're going to have to decide quite quickly. It's coming out really soon. There's just like one more week to go before Antorus. And then it's out. And then we'll find out. But on to the actual breaking news, which is the Tier 21 set bonuses have received some rebalancing as expected. Not quite the rebalancing I was expecting personally for my particular spec, but you want to look at it. Of course, some specs have been nerfed, some specs have been buffed. It's just a rebalancing thing. Also, remember to expect that in a couple of weeks' time, there's likely to be another set of rebalancing, probably based on class abilities rather than the tier sets. One curious thing, though, is I haven't as yet seen any evidence of Tier 20 being rebalanced. Now, what happened the last time when Tomb of Sargeras was coming out is not only did they change some aspects of the Tier 20 set bonuses, which was at the time the new set bonus, they also nerfed some of the set bonuses from Tier 19 so that would be more inclined to go for the next set of tier, basically, the next tier set up. Because to begin with, it won't be a massive item level increase because you're probably going to, if you're Mythic Raiders, you're probably going from Mythic to, say, normal stroke heroic tier. If you're a heroic raider, from that to normal stroke. A little bit of heroic tier, maybe. So before item level really takes over, there could be a case for some tier 20 bonuses looking a lot stronger than some of the tier 21, especially for those for whom the tier 21 has been nerfed. So I would check out your sort of class guides, your class discords round about the weekend when people have had time to do sims. If you're interested in the Retribution Paladin, I will be running sims myself, but not until the weekend. I'll obviously wait for it all to be updated and see if Blizzard are going to say anything about these changes in terms of what they might be thinking of for a couple of weeks' time when the rebalancing comes in. Now, just a reminder about how Antorus is being released. So next week, for example, the normal and heroic difficulties are going to open up. So that's November 29th for EU. Just take a day off if it's for North America. So like 28th for North America. December 6th is when the Mythic, so the week later is when the Mythic opens. Also the first wing of LFR, the Raid Finder first wing, which is called Light's Breach. December 20th, 2 weeks later, we're going to get the LFR Wing 2. Another couple of weeks later, on January the 3rd, when I go back after my Christmas break, is when the third LFR wing opens up. And then a couple of weeks after that, on January the 17th, is when the fourth wing opens up, by which time you'll be able to do it on any mode. Remember that there's going to be a quest for when you defeat Argosy on Make It on whatever difficulty, that you're just going to get a legendary. There's a legendary ring that basically buffs the effects of your Netherlight Crucible special abilities, that second tier row of abilities. So if you've got BIS traits there, then it's quite a handy thing to get. But if you're going to try and get it through LFR, then you're going to have to wait till like mid-January for that one. Mythic Plus is, of course, going up when Antorus releases. So what that means is that you'll be able to get better gear, not just going up to a plus 10, but up to a plus 15. From your weekly cash, for example, you'll get better gear if you go all the way up to a plus 15. Now, I seem to remember that they've said this, but I can't remember where, so I can't double check and be 100% certain. But I'm sort of 90% certain that this is the case. If you were, instead of just waiting for Antorus to release, if you were to do a plus 15 this reset, the reset before Antorus comes out, then that would allow you to benefit from the weekly cash that you open up when Antorus comes out. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I'm pretty sure that is the way it's working. I think that's the way it worked last time as well. But again, the old memory, when it gets to my age, sort of plays tricks on you. There's a bug, apparently, in old Kara, sort of bug. It actually turns out it's people mucking about where some people were complaining when they're doing the chess event. I mean, you know, if there's a reason not to do the old carrot all the way through, the chess event is one of them. You can solo it, bit of a pain unless you know what you're doing. But some people have had issues where when they dismount from a piece, it just disappears altogether. What Blizzard explained was the reason for this is people using add-ons or like, you know, special macros that are, instead of dismounting because it's treated as a vehicle, it's like dismissing it as if it's a pet, which means it's just disappearing altogether. The piece isn't there anymore, which basically means it can't be attacked. Ooh, glitch detected. The whole thing stops. So the only way to deal with that, if that happens, is number one, to go out of the instance and do a soft reset. And number two, not to use those add-ons and scripts or whatever else that you are using that will be doing that. They do advise just going in there and not using add-ons at all. I don't think there's any need for that. Just turn off any add-ons that might be doing that. No, none of the common use add-ons I would have thought would do something like that. Classic WoW discussion turns a bit nasty. So there's been various discussions, of course, since Blizzard announced Classic WoW and have said that they want community feedback on exactly what it should entail. Now, they have clarified that they're not talking about introducing anything like LFD or WoW tokens or any of these sort of quality of life things we have, like the mount tab and stuff like that. They said, you know, vanilla is vanilla. They've made that really clear. That's what we're going to get. But what they want to know is at what point do we set the expansion? Because there were a lot of patches in it. There were like over a dozen patches in vanilla. So where do you want it? And it does have a profound effect because they were doing a lot of class changes, if nothing else, as well as changes to the structure of the game as well, and zones all the way through. Like, for example, if they brought it out ahead of a certain patch, Silithus, you know, as it is now, it was much smaller when when I first went to Silithus, it was quite small. There weren't that many quests there. And then they expanded it with the anchorage gates and stuff like that. And a lot more quests. Abilities. I mean, there were different abilities. Abilities works differently throughout there. There's quite a lot of changes, really. So they need to pitch it the right one. Now, the issue here is that people have their very definite ideas about where it should be pitched. But there's a bit of unpleasantness on it. Now, we understand that people they've been so desperate for official Classic servers, and now that they're coming, they want to make sure that it gives them the experience that they want. But anyone who is trying to shut down anyone who says anything different to what they want is actually not doing their case any good at all. Because if I was a Blizzard developer, and they've basically said this, community manager has basically responded with this, and said, look, if I was looking at this and I was looking at someone being really obnoxious and trying to shut down people's rights to say what they want, I associate that obnoxious comment with what you want. And in my mind, it's just human nature, it plants a seed of like, oh, actually, that's not such a good thing. You're making that really negative association. So people need to understand, as desperate as you might want it to be exactly as you want it, it's not been made for you personally, it's been made for a lot of people. And we keep being told by plenty of people that there's going to be a large market for this. I agree, by the way. I agree there will be. But we have to accept that they are going to tune it to where they think it's going to be best for what the majority seem to think. So trying to shoot people down is no good. You can try and discuss with people. But actually actually trying to just stop them and bully them out of the discussion is only actually going to harm your argument, not make it better. And finally, the 7.3.5 PTR is going to come out soon. They don't say how soon, but usually when they say that, it's usually like 2 or 3 weeks. And also we ought to bear in mind that with PTRs in Legion, they have tended to come out pretty quickly after the previous patch has gone live. So usually when a patch goes live, it is usually just like a couple of weeks before the PTR for the next one comes online. That's, of course, going to come with the scaling for the older zones. It's going to come with Ulduar Time Walking, the Silithus Battleground. Now, the Silithus Battleground, it's more of a taster because it's really something for Battle for Azeroth. It's going to be based around sort of collecting Azerite. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any Azerite there, so it's just going to be retuned. But just to get you, so you can get a feel for the general idea of it, And also, I suspect because PvP players, I think, for quite a while have been saying, well, we haven't really had a lot of new stuff, Battleground arenas wise. So I think it's just something to sort of, you know, give something new to PvPers and to get other people just to have a look at it. And I suppose test it out, really. You can't, you know, you can't do better than putting it live to test it out before you actually use it in all of its glory in the next expansion. As well as, of course, the storyline that is going to follow the defeat of Argus, which, of course, a lot of people may not defeat for some time, but some people will defeat in the first week. So, yeah, when 7.3.5 comes out, there'll be more storyline coming out there because some people, by the time it comes out, because it's not coming out with the raid, some people have already defeated it on various modes. So there's more storyline coming there. And the other thing, the very last thing is what is coming, of course, up at some point are the allied races, not with 7.3.5. Now, Blizzard have said to take account of this, just as if they were bringing out new classes, they're going to expand the number of characters you can have on one realm on your account. And there's like 6 allied races, so they're actually going to increase the number of slots you can have by 6. So it's going to massively increase the number of character slots you can have on one realm. But they're not planning on increasing the number of characters you can have in total on your account. So at the moment you can have 50 in total. Now, what they have said, so it doesn't sound like it's a completely firm position, is if there are people who actively use 50 characters on one account to contact Blizzard, you know, basically give them your experiences and stuff like that. I think they want to get an overall feel for how many people in reality do and what they think the issues would that be. But it doesn't sound like they really want to increase the number of characters you can create. So there we go. Those are the main news points from this week. This weekend, of course, Retribution Paladins, I will be able to come back to you with some concrete thoughts on what we're going to be wanting to do tier-wise, because that may change a little bit now, because we have had a little bit of a nerf. It's not a massive nerf, but a little bit. So thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and share with other people who might be interested. And until next time, I'll see you later.